Please, can you get started?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us today here for this side event under Andesa Division for Inclusive Social Development, the Commission of Social Development 59th session. My name is Dr. Devon Bannister. I am the founder and president for Macban Arts, and also I am the Chief Administrative Officer for Agri-Food to the United Nations. Indeed, it is a great honor and a great privilege for all of us to be here today. Let me first of all say thank you very much to the organizers of this event who has made it possible, which are the African Cultural Production Inc., the Irene Menekaya School, and the Tabernacle Prayer and Praise Ministries, in collaboration with African Women Working Group, Magban Corp, Enlightened Christian Gathering Church, ECG, Magban Arts, and European Digital University. Today we have a mouthful of information that our prolific speakers will be speaking to us on. The theme that we are looking at today is socially just transition towards sustainable development, or let me say it in other words, the role of digital technologies, the changing of the paradigm of transition towards decade of action. In other words, the role of digital technology in education. So today we have a few speakers who will be speaking to us on various aspects. So without any further ado, let me welcome Dr. Ada Okika. She is the representative of Irene Menekaya School and the African Cultural Promotions Inc. to the UN. She will come and tell us a little bit about the underlying concept of this event today. Dr. Ada.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Bannister, for that opening introduction. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, depending on where you are calling from or where you are participating from. We are now currently doing a side event to the Commission for Social Development, the 59th section of the United Nations. The commission started since Monday, and the issue, just as the Dr. Bani just said, is discussing on socially just transition towards sustainable development, the role of digital technologies on social development and well-being for all. This is the major contest, and the year education system, whether circular or non-circular education, has faced challenges that negated a lot of programs like exchange program, global interconnection, massive connectedness, and ties enacting action on new era of engagement through dialogue, agenda, digital distribution, learning platform, and best practices for re-engineering, creating professionalism and critical thinking, build strong network and global partnership, and establishing knowledge sharing and best practices across the world. And this must be enabled to encourage new models, campaigns, and initiatives for providing education across all levels of education. However, COVID-19 has created overall disruption on global development from the local community, affecting human personality and well-being. Overall systems are disrupted, including school system, yet education remains the most paramount for societal progress and imperative for achieving the decade of action successes by 2033. And this concept has led this side event to focus on role of digital technologies, changing the paradigm of transition towards decade of action, role of digital technology on education. And I want to refer us to the report from the Secretary of United Nations stating that the digital technologies offer new opportunities for achieving the three core objectives of social development as set out at the Social Summit, namely eradicating poverty, promoting full and productive employment, and fostering social inclusion. Digital technologies can enhance productivity in the world of work and expand the way individuals search for work, companies recruit talent and goods, and services are produced and distributed. They can enable workers to make remotely and promote improved work-life balance while expanding income-generating opportunities. Many of the opportunities and benefits offered by new technologies in the world of work, however, are not certain or automatically occurring. Rather, they require a supportive legislative and regulatory framework to guarantee workers' rights and ensure decent work. He further stated that digital technologies can also help to reduce poverty and inequality by providing a more economically efficient means for meeting the most urgent and basic needs for food, clean water, shelter, education, health, which currently can cost as much as 80% of household incomes in developing countries. Digital technologies can foster social inclusion by facilitating the full participation of all people in society and by ensuring their access to quality education, healthcare, decent work, affordable housing, and social protection. No one should be left behind in the digital revolution. No one should be left behind, not even education. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ada. Thank you very much for giving us that overview of what we are here to discuss, and at the same time what the CSD59 session is all about. At this time, we are supposed to have Ambassador, we're supposed to have the Ambassador, Mr. Antonio Dong, sorry, MBA, Permanent Representative, Mission of Equatorial Guinea to the UN. However, he is unable to attend due to unforeseen circumstances within his family. So he is not with us today, but nevertheless, we wish him all the best and his family at this time. However, I'm going to read to you a brief statement from the Secretary General. It's about the digital divide. Given the potential of digital technology to promote social development and people's well-being, access to it is an important enabler for a socially just transition to sustainable development. Leaving no one behind means leaving no one offline. Significant digital divides, however, currently exist between regions and countries. A little more than half of the world's population uses the internet, that's 53.6%. The other half, amounting to 3.6 billion people, does not. 4/5 of the offline population are in Africa and in the Asian Pacific region. That's 48 inch in 2019, and 87% of individuals in developed countries were online. Compared with 19% in the least developed countries, sorry. Digital divides are also clearly marked within countries. Already marginalized groups are overrepresented in the offline population, which is disproportionately made of women, people in rural communities, people living in poverty, and older persons, which has limited education and low literacy. In 2019, 48% of women globally used the internet, compared with 58% of men. That gender gap ranged from 3% points in developed countries to 43% points in least developed countries. Between 2013 and 2019, the gender gap almost closed in the Americas and narrowed in the countries of the Commonwealth of Independent States and Europe, but grew in the Arab states, the Asian Pacific region, and Africa. Women are on average 28% less likely than men to have a smartphone. That's 70% in South Africa, South Asia, what am I saying, sorry, and 34% in Africa. They are also more likely to be sharing users rather than owners of the technological devices in certain situations. Cultural norms in some regions may further restrict digital access for women. A rural-urban digital divide is present across all regions. Approximately 60% of the world's office, 60% of the world's online, I think I need to clean my glasses this morning. 60% of the world's online population lives in rural areas, of which a large proportion is in Africa and the Asia Pacific region. 52 of that geographically divide can be exacerbated by low population density, which makes it uneconomic for private operators to service rural and hard to reach areas. Moreover, affordable and reliable access to electricity is not always reliably available. With that being said, we're going to listen now to one of our keynote presenter who will speak to us on the role of digital technology in achieving quality and inclusive education in the new normal. So coming to speak to us is Dr. Brian Yambi. He is the national president for Enlightened Christian Gathering, ECG USA. Dr. Yambi, over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, doctors on the panel and everyone watching. Today, we're really talking about the role of digital technology and how and what an impact to be. So I would like to say that when integrating information and community technologies into the classroom, it is important to evaluate what degree it enriches the relationship established between students, tasks and contents, and the teacher that's teaching. It is by Julia Coromina. The need to promote a qualitative leap in education implies a change from a model of knowledge acquisition to one of in-depth study and creation of knowledge. Within a context of continued change, technologies need to enable us to improve the process of teaching, learning, assessment, and organization. These transformations in the tasks of teaching, staff, and students have an impact on learning and teaching activities alike. Education has really come a long way, from literacy, writing skills, and computation of numbers to memorizing of facts and eventual regurgitation. Did you know that 16% of 8 to 11-year-olds own 5 or more media devices? And 72% of 12 to 15-year-olds own 3 or more media devices. 51% of households with a child aged between 3 and 15 have a tablet, compared to 7%. And this was in 2011. I don't know what it is today, but I can assume that people have progressed in having more and more devices in their homes. No matter where you look, children and students are using technology more and more because it is becoming more accessible. What is the education system doing to respond to this? Does technology have a place in schools? How can technology be used to effectively improve teaching, learning, and productivity in the classroom? This was by Jason Brown on TED Talk in 2016. Today's education has been impacted by the need and ability to think, also called critical thinking. The computers, machines, and technology can now do the writing and computation of numbers and leave man as a wanting person, because the jobs that require the skills of communication and technology are now being overtaken by technology. But how do we balance the two? The world is very skeptical about future computer takeover as well. that men will have no jobs and the computers and machines will do their jobs. And this is from this advent of artificial intelligence. The importance and ubiquitous nature of information and communication technologies at work, in education, and in everyday life is reflected in the consideration of the social interaction scenario of today's society, defined as the information and knowledge society. The reference to knowledge is the consequence of the awareness that technologies alone do not have effects if not accompanied by cognitive abilities and literacy corresponding to the capacities of access as users to the capacities of integrating, evaluating, and generating information for communication. The big question is, how do we use machines? How do we use computers to enhance our education, but still be useful while machines continue being operational? It all starts from kindergarten. As soon as a child is born, they're introduced to some of this equipment, and all the way up to university, and now we are using them in work because we can't do without machines today. Schools are suffering from expensive equipment though, shortage of teachers that can teach using the prevalent technology, and the cost of repairs are a deterrent to housing technology in schools, and so need help, not only in the first world, but especially even in the third world. The question above will only come if the following issues are handled with level-headedness. Since we are meant to be solution makers at work, the boss is expecting us to come up with a solution. What then should we do? The computer should help in problem solving, as well as get us into the operations of, number one, critical thinking. In its most basic expression, critical thinking occurs when students are analyzing, evaluating, interpreting, or synthesizing information and applying creative thought to form an argument or solve a problem or reach a conclusion, devising imaginative ways to solve problems, especially unfamiliar or complex problems. When the skill is activated in early childhood, the world has everything to benefit from it. As technology has played a big role in our lives, our skills in critical thinking and analysis, unfortunately, have declined, while our visual skills have improved. And this is according to a research done by Patricia Greenfield at UCLA, a distinguished professor of psychology and director of the Children's. And so we just said critical thinking was the first thing, one of the first things that we need to use for the use in this time of computers. And the second thing will be creativity. Creativity can be fostered in schools if the critical thinking path is infused with questions along the way that would get the children thinking about solutions. Then maybe the research by Patricia Greenfield will be overturned. Digital technology in schools should be about creativity and problem solving. And this can only be done by deliberate understanding of what artificial intelligence programs are about, and critically going through the pathways of asking questions at every junction a hurdle is posed. Then we can have alternative outcomes and possibilities. Our thinking capabilities will be enlarged. And number three, we should be talking about collaboration. We have seen that today, there is no remote place for as long as technology is working. Now we can talk about Facebook. We can talk about every social media on these platforms. The interactions brought about with boundary crossing, whether it be schools within the country or outside the country, are very beneficial in the creativity of knowledge, analysis, evaluation, and the creation of an end product. And we have seen this today, especially during this time of the pandemic, where Zoom and many other products are helping us in the collaboration while the places that we are collaborating with are remotely placed. Number 4 is communication. We've just talked about creativity, collaboration, and now communication. We are talking about a participation culture that is clearly visible in the social media networks, but also in more creative expressions. However, this participation does not form part of the explicit curriculum, but is known as the hidden curriculum or implicit curriculum. The lack of incorporation of digital activities is not only a question of managing school tasks, but also a waste of learning opportunities for students. A young man called Jason Brown, who I spoke about earlier from England, on TED Talk said, textbooks have become almost obsolete because an interactive video in, say, a geography class would point to things being shown while hearing a person speak, questions being asked, responses given, therefore having an interaction. How then can we continue using textbooks if we can go digitally and work these things out? Now, I'd like to bring to us a food for thought. If cost is a deterrent to digital technology in the third world, how can we make it cheaper? Or what can we do in the area of initial setup costs, repairs, and maintenance? And to what degree are we expecting teachers in the third world to embrace digital technology? These are the questions that I believe we should be thinking about. Let us not leave any person behind in this digital technology era, because it is what links all of us to true education for the present and the future globally. Formal, informal, or non-formal education, today's child, today's youth will be tomorrow's teacher. The Bible actually says in the book of Daniel 12:4 that knowledge will increase, and this is the time where knowledge has increased. We have so much knowledge now. We are now suffering from knowledge overload. How can we make this knowledge work for us? By using digital technology in schools. If it is said that a child can play a computer game for at least 6 hours with maximum concentration, how then can we tap into this power of digital technology? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Brian. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Wow, wow, wow. That was a mouthful. So for those of you listening, and even us here on the panel, let's take that food for thought and let's go run with it. Let's run with it. Thank you very much, Dr. Brian, for speaking to us today. Next, we're going to have Professor Nina A. She is the strategic digital planner at the European Digital University. Professor Nina, please go ahead. Professor Nina. Okay, I think she might have gotten bounced off. Okay, all right, we'll come back to her if she comes back on. Let's move on. We'll move into our plenary discussion. So education in a changing world. So we know the world is changing. So how is education changing as the world changes? So we're going to take a we're going to look at some strategies for adapting to the new normal. So coming to speak to us now is Devendra Bob Dudnat. He's a computer scientist over in the country Guyana. He is well versed on computers and education as well. So he is going to speak to us on that. Devendra Bob Dudnat, over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bannister. It's a privilege to be here. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm tasked today to speak on the topic, the role of digital technologies, changing the paradigm of transition towards decade of action, the role of digital technology in education. Please allow me to define one of the key terms in this statement. two words that we have been hearing a lot today: digital technology. Digital technologies are electronic tools, systems, devices, and resources that generate, store, or process data. Well-known examples include social media, online games, multimedia, and mobile phones. Digital learning is any type of learning that uses these technologies. It can, it can happen across all curriculum learning areas. In the past decade, we have seen technology develop with an overwhelming speed. Moore's law was the first to shine light on technology growth rate. It says that, that the transistors count on integrated circuits double roughly every 18 months. Here are some additional facts about how fast technology changes. By 2025, 38.6 billion smart devices will be collecting, analyzing, and sharing data. The web hosting services market is to reach 77.8 billion in 2025. 70% of all tech spending is expected to go for cloud solution. There are 1.35 million tech startups. Global AI market is expected to reach $89.8 billion. There are 4.3 million internet users. Solar energy adoption has grown by 50%. The number of transistors that fit into a microprocessor reached 10 billion in 2017. It was under 10,000 in 1971. This is just to show the rate at which technology changes in the world. And therefore, our various means of delivering education must be adjusted accordingly. Not only must it be adjusted, but because of these exponential development, there must be teams assigned regularly to examine the relevance of the methodology of our education system. Failure to do so, we would lose our students, and it will reflect that the education system is inadequate. Some time ago, some pastors had a discussion about the use of Bibles on phones in churches. One pastor said the Bible is sacred and should be kept in its original form. To which one of the pastors replied, should we then carry around stone tablets because that's what Moses wrote on? Shouldn't the education system evolve also? According to Pan World Education, learning tools and technology enables students to develop effective self-directed learning skills, collaborate and work successfully in groups, teaches children discipline, develop positive feelings and accomplishment, rapidly increase information sharing, and increases students' enjoyability. With all these benefits available in the use of digital technology in education, why shouldn't we facilitate this change all over the world? And I stress all over the world. Shouldn't this tool be available to all students? In my country, Guyana, sadly, not every student, nor even every household, not even every teacher has a computer. There were initiatives of one laptop for family by the government. However, this was never fully executed. Neither were the equipment of good standard to keep up with the rapidly changing times. The equipment had little or no room for upgrade. This cannot foster the change that we need in the education system. As such, our countries like ours are left behind. Students from developed nations are leaps and bounds ahead of developing ones. Oftentimes, if students from developing nations are placed with students from developed nations, they have to play catch up because there is not a level playing field. However, most times in these situations, through perseverance and hard work, students from developing nations succeed. But when they return home, they become frustrated by the lack of development in the education system. And in some cases, developed nations buy them over, resulting in brain drain for developing nations. This further stagnate development in the education system. According to itforchange.net, education has been accepted as a project for social and political transformation, with the development of each individual not only for her economic gains, but also for building a just and humane society. It also needs to promote awareness and build agency for sustainable development and harmonious coexistence. Yet, we are a long way from universal quality education in most of the world. While education is recognized as a public good, governments are unable and or unwilling to make required public investment in education in terms of ensuring universal access and quality. Per student expenditure on education is low, far below what developed countries spend. To build universal public education system, private expenditure on education has been increasing as a response to this shortfall. However, increasing private expenditure where individuals fund their children's education is leading to increased satisfaction in the education system. As education acquires the nature of a market good, the rich are able to afford expensive, good quality private schools, while the marginalized sections enroll their children in so-called affordable schools, which are too ill-resourced to be capable of providing meaningful education. In developing countries, we also find there are discrepancies between the digital literacy vision of the new education reform and the reality in teacher education institutions. Even if technology even if technology access in teachers' education institution is being mandatorily put, we still find that there is a lack of essential digital literacy among teachers, and there is too much slow speed internet access in the institutions. Low internet speed is not only synonymous with our learning institutions, but also with what is available to students in developing countries. Oftentimes, you pay for one speed and you get much, much lower speed. I can personally attest to all of these. I therefore call upon the world leaders and governments, both in developed and developing countries, to do much more in leveling the playing field for all students by investing more in digital technology for our education system. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that, Devendra Bob Dudnat. At this time, for the sake of time, let's move on. We're going to move now to Professor Siddish A. Mohammed. He is the Vice Chancellor of the European Digital University. He will come to us as well and speak to us on strategies for adapting to the new normal. Please unmute your mic, sir.
There's a mic.
Yes.
Hi, can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Yeah. I am Professor Siddiq A. Mohammed. Right now I'm in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. I would like to introduce myself as the founder of European Digital University. And it's an honor for me to address all of you in this event, and especially to Dr. Arda, and to talk about digitalization of in the education. So now we are living in the quantum computing era. As all of you are aware, the normal computing system is going to change to quantum computing system. So unless and until the students of the world, right from kindergarten school to school level to high school or secondary higher education and all, if they don't understand about the latest inventions and technologies of the world, okay, so they won't be able to compete with the rest of the world. So the new digital education system coming up, especially after the COVID era, can only accelerate the knowledge and reach of the students worldwide, and it can reduce the cost of education to a very, very higher level, because the students can come to know about the opportunities spread across the world without spending much money, much time. The time is the most precious asset in this world for each and every human on earth. The time is very precious and the time is very limited. So this is the best time in this world to promote digital education in almost all the sectors. This is what we have floated this European Digital University, so we can, and Google become the biggest university in the world. So as far as the third world countries are concerned, the students in the third world countries like India or Bangladesh or Pakistan and all, they don't have, majority of them don't have an opportunity to get the higher, the best education in the world, like what the students are getting in America or Canada or Europe. So they don't have such a privilege to get that kind of education. But Now, because of the new digital education system or the policy, especially of the United Nations, this is a big blessing to the student community across the world. So that's why we are committed to promote all kinds of digital education in our university. And we have already started the blockchain, the artificial intelligence, and the quantum computing and all through our digital platform. So whatever assignments I am getting through this program, I am ready to implement in the Arab world, in India, and all these countries. So I am grateful to all of you for giving me this opportunity, and I would like to hear more from all of you about the plans. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, Professor Mohammed. At this time, we are now going to move to Dr. Stephanie Nenji. She is the resource specialist for the Los Angeles County Office of Education. She will also be speaking to us on strategies for adapting to the new normal. Dr. Stephanie. Please unmute your mic.
Here we go.
Yes.
Good morning. It's 7:43 here in California, and it's a great pleasure to be here speaking on the role of digital technology on education. I'll be touching on special education perspective, and then the overall role digital education has played in the classroom so far. So we live in a world where electronic devices continually bombard learners as they engage with technology outside of school. So school-age children like to be interactive, and learning through technology has now become part of their lifestyles. Educators must embrace the fact that we need to enter a new educational mindset to stimulate students' interest and keep them motivated. So access to education for all is an age-long claim by policymakers that allows individuals and with disabilities the opportunity to reach their optimal potential. The goal is that they should access the curriculum on the same basis as their peers without disabilities. So due to the exponentially rising digital innovations in recent years, the number of technological solutions that meet diverse needs of disabilities in education is now possible. With the right technology, educators can develop and manage compliant, high-quality special education documents using intuitive guided actions and rules aligned with IDEA or federal laws. I'm speaking of IDEA because I live in the Americas. So the Individuals with Education, with Disability Education Act allows for all children to access curriculum to the best of their ability. So assistive technology in the classroom has really improved over the years. On the computers now, you can have what they call the light signals. We now have touch screens, we have screen readers, we have text to speech, we have alternative keyboards, we have voice recognition software, we also have Braille embossers. So human speech recognition and synthesizing is helpful for students with disorders that don't allow them to process visual information correctly. Adaptive computing allows using digital devices to bypass challenging tasks. The screen reader applications also allow visually challenged students to use the computer, and the augmentative communication helps students with speech problems to overcome the communication barriers. Technology also in the classroom allows for differentiation of instruction and learning. So people radically learn differently. Everybody needs a specific place, particular path, particularly a particular learning goal. So technically, every student gets a unique personalized learning path, and technology helps those with this gap. computers, tablets, smartphones, you name it, and all the associated softwares and exciting new applications bring multiple resources to the classroom that keep students of different abilities engaged. So in special education, the use of technology, it helps break the barriers for people with disabilities to provide them with access to the most relevant educational programs. Digital learning technologies and virtual classroom that has been ongoing since COVID-19 hit us can allow students in special education to receive real-time, high quality, eminently customizable instruction from comfort of their homes. Education technology also allows increasing independence and individualized learning that frees students from constant need for direct teacher involvement. It reduces the anxiety level, which plays a significant role in the learning process. It simplifies communication and improves the academic skills of students with disabilities. Okay, oftentimes the traditional classroom also makes it difficult for level playing field for all learners. With the integration of technology, in education, children can learn at their own pace using asynchronous learning. So technology makes it also possible for a classroom to be enhanced with individualized learning, allowing instructors to provide more significant instructional flexibility. Teachers can use technology to offer various opportunities and approaches that engage, instruct, and support special education students with a plethora of individualized teaching strategies. Proper use of technology in the classroom gives students more control of their learning as it tends to move from the classroom from teacher-dominated environment to the one that is more learner-centered. So presently, we do have, I have kids at home now who are learning asynchronous, and they, actually my school district have what they call the hybrid, you go in, you go out. And that has really enhanced the learning styles of children. So children are the digital native. I can remember my little boy was, before he started kindergarten, he already was reading. He was reading, and I couldn't believe it. Why? Because we have Sesame Street, we have Bunny and Friends, all the programs that children that watch on television that allows them to even learn before they actually get to school. So children know technology better than most adults. It has become the easiest way they learn because it is such an integral part of their life. Engaging in technology in classroom has helped kids to acquire multitasking skills. And without technology, most children will fall behind in the real world without it. So if you were not raised using computers at home and watching all those things, you are not a digital native. So research also shows that accessing resources outside the textbook gives students many ways to learn. They can explore the world and gather information from devices, closing the gap between the learners from diverse backgrounds. They can actually do virtual field trips, go to India, go to China, go to Egypt to see the pyramids virtually without leaving the comfort of their classrooms. So research also suggests that this digital technology increases exposure to new ideas, knowledge, and immersive learning experiences. I talked earlier about how Sesame Street has helped my child to start reading before he started kindergarten. Technology in education also made education much fun. And I'm not here to address the pivot changes if you happen to be a kid in developing countries, or to address the achievement gap or the digital divide that is between the developed and emerging economics. That would be a discussion for some other time. The production of technology, the amazing exponential growth of technology, and how it has made education fun to a particular child and leaves another child behind. Technology use in the classroom should be part of the everyday norm for all learners. It is everywhere and no longer that special thing that students must do. I remember back in the days we have to go to computer lab. Not anymore. Kids can do their work from the comfort of their home using their tablets or their smartphones. Innovations also in technology are reformulating education system, and the best apps played a key role in the progressive change. The use of mobile apps has extended to the field of education as in various fields. It is reported that the number of educational apps has turned out to be the third most well-known app globally. So according to Google, the App Store features, the App Store actually features about 75,000 educational apps. So the App Store has over 75,000 education apps designed specifically only for iPad. So when the COVID-19 caused the exponential number of downloads in the last quarter, Apple reported that 470 million educational apps were downloaded. 466 million via the Google Play Store. So we can imagine, like our esteemed professor in Dubai has said, this is changing exponentially. It is changing. So such educational apps that we have currently, some of them are video-based, some are has interactive content, some of them have tutorials and sessions, they have testing of knowledge, they have online mode where students can download lectures and work on it at their own time. We also have social media integration. By all means, technology has made learning and acquiring new knowledge very possible. Technology has made it possible for learners to gain qualifications and educate themselves through institutions that offer online courses from anywhere globally without moving away to attend college. I am a beneficiary of online learning, and I'm sure some of us are now. Okay, so teaching is now more than Blackboard, and technology has an integral part of its development, thus transforming education, and we learn and retain information. Technology not only provides learners with access to countless online resources, but also aids them in learning process. So I will close with this cliche that technology also saves the tree, okay? The more technology we use, the less paper that we need to use around us. Above all, the world is changing and we need to be more embracing, more forward thinking and more creative with how we use technology for education. The society we live now is inundated with technology, and the future society will be even more permeated with technology in ways we cannot even predict. The technology is here to stay. So proactively integrating technology helps to navigate the digital world and how to use numerous technology to solve complex problems. Must be part of how we educate our next generation. It is our job as educators to prepare students to become informed citizens of a society. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Stephanie. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let me say thank you very much to our plenary discussion team, Dr. Devendra Babdunat, Dr. Stephanie Nenji, and Professor Siddiq A. Mohammed. We missed Professor Nina, who was supposed to present to us on the role of digital technology in achieving quality and inclusive education in the new normal. So she is on. So Professor Nina, please go ahead and speak to us. Just to let you know, you have 5 minutes for the sake of time. So please go ahead. At 5 minutes, I will let you know. Please go ahead, Professor Nina.
A very good evening to all. I'm Dr. Nina. I'm working as an assistant professor with the Medical College in Kerala. Today, my mission is to tell something about the digital technologies. For digital technology, in fact, it is having so much of benefits in the field of education, in the field of social development, and in the field of empowerment of women and girls. And in all fields, digital technologies are having so much of applications. When concerned about the social development, there can be so much of opportunities which is helpful in eradicating the poverty and can promote the full and productive employment and hence foster the social inclusion. And when considering the job opportunities can enhance the productivity in the world of work and expanding the way that individuals which they are going for work, and they can promote the improved work-life balance. And many other opportunities are there in case of this application of this digital technology. Then coming to in agri-food industries, it's critical to food security, and that's application of mobile applications which provide the price information to farmers as well as the weather forecast. The weather-based agro advisory messages can help farmers to anticipate and respond to pest attacks, crop failures, and also in climatic changes. Then access to financial services is an important factor to improve the livelihood and income security. Then can empower, of course, empower the women and girls, especially those women and girls living in rural areas in a country like India. It is having more applications in the field of education, health, and other services. Then in a country like India, digital technologies are having so much of applications. And during this COVID era, of course, the application of digital technologies is actually important, especially in the conducting classes for the undergraduate, graduate, and all other students. In fact, it was a dream for the people like us to conduct classes via these digital technologies. But now we are all used up with this, even our students also. So, of course, digital technologies can improve the world in all fields like education, then banking, then agricultural industries, then in improvement of other like that's all. Thank you for giving me an opportunity for speaking. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Nina. Thank you, thank you, thank you. At this time, we are going to move on. We have with the outcome statement, changing the paradigm of transition towards a decade of action, and coming back to us now once again would be Dr. Ada Okika, the representative for Irene Menikaev School and the African Cultural Promotions, Inc. to the UN, to speak to us. Dr. Ada, over to you. Please unmute your mic, Dr. Ada.
Thank you, Dr. Bannister. And thank you for all the speakers that have spoken so well so far. You have given us a lot of intervention ideas that can put together to have this outcome statement. However, in putting together all the presentations so far, we need to address the strategic action plans to be considered on roadmap on right to digital technology, on quality and inclusive education, and know that the common challenges for the education sector could point on teachers who are teaching children at all levels of education. The need to also have the teachers' teaching principles and learning be digitalized as well. We also look at the teaching and learning materials and the communication aspects. The teaching and learning materials need to be overhauled.
Hello, I'm not able to hear. What's the problem?
The teaching and learning materials as well need to be considered. And we should also know that we're all working towards the quality and inclusive education for lifelong learning. And it's not just easy to just dabble into digital technology without balancing all these issues. We also need to consider the language and affordability of the digital technology resources, because if we don't consider the language to be used, considering the fact that early child education also is advantageous to also place them on early education based on mother tongue. And again, affordability, as most families cannot be able to afford the technology. Take, for instance, in developing countries, you have to afford light, you have to buy data, you have to buy the correct instrument in order to be able to avail yourself to the use of, to the practice of either social media or various forms of digital technology systems. So in most developing countries, we need to bear in mind that there will be definitely the issue about digital education will definitely put a lot of children out of school. And if it is putting them out of school, then we are not balancing the need or the sustainable development goal of leave no one behind. And we are not working on achieving the quality and inclusive education for lifelong learning as stipulated by SDG 4. So we need to have this in mind, and it is important for us to recommend to the Commission on Social Development 59 section that in re-echoing the leave no one behind, there must be need to balance the digital technology, the re-engineering system into education system, the retooling, and also the re-engineering and retooling of into the education system. And we need to consider it very seriously in balancing it to education, so that we've heard about education of children in special education. We talk about early childhood education. We talk about children in migrant communities, vulnerable situations. These are very, very important. And a lot need to be strategized in order to achieve the actual quality and inclusive education for lifelong learning by using the digital technology. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ada. Thank you, thank you, thank you. At this time, we will be having the closing remarks from Dr. Sadiat Lawal, the Global President for 1000 Women in Religion for Global Peace, a Decade of Action Initiative, President for...
Dr. Bannister, please, can we respond to the 2 questions before the closing remarks for probably 3 minutes?
2 questions. One of the questions was
yes.
One of the questions was already answered. It was placed in the Q&A. Can you suggest on ways government can help vulnerable people access technologies? That question came from Dr. Monica Sanchez. It was answered by Devendra Bob Dunat. Investment in ICT hubs per student, investing in making internet available in remote areas, providing devices for students who cannot afford. Is there anyone else that would like to?
Yes, I sent you one that was sent to email to your WhatsApp.
Oh, you sent another one?
Yes, check your WhatsApp.
Okay, let me see. There was another one, another question. It was asked, how do you envision and access digital technologies being implemented and used across early learning context for the youngest children and their caregivers who have been forcibly displaced? D.W. Wincott stated, here is home is where we start from. So is there anyone else who would like to comment on this question? How do you envision and access digital technologies being implemented and used across early learning context for the youngest children and their caregivers who have been forcibly displaced? Please, if you're going to answer, take 1 minute, please, or 30 seconds.
Maybe Bob or Dr. Brian or Dr. Stephanie. something.
I think the most important thing that we need to pay attention to is that whatever technology we're going to use, one of the challenges that I am seeing with children is the ability to go away from what they're supposed to be learning. So you find children are going on the internet and doing the wrong things. And I recently just heard, as I was doing my research on this same topic, somebody from Bahamas who's a teacher told me that the children who don't want to learn actually go into the technology and understand how to hack into it to a point where they hack into the teacher's abilities to work the computers to jam it so that the teachers do not teach because the computer is jammed. So here's a child who is defranchised, knowing that the person comes from a very poor background, but has understood how to hack into programs that the teacher is going to use. So those are things that we need to pay attention to. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that wonderful answer. I don't think anyone else needs to answer that question. That was an answer right there by itself. There's one more question. I'm going to open this for us to answer it live. How can we implement digital technology among developing countries whose 80 to 90% of the population living under poverty line? Dr. Stephanie or Devendra or Dr. Adha or Professor Nino, one of you can go ahead and take this question, please. 1 minute. I read it over. How can we implement digital technology among developing countries whose 80 to 90% of the population living under poverty line?
I wouldn't address this without tearing up because it breaks my heart that my home country, Nigeria, during the pandemic, the more than, I mean, could I say maybe 90% of children are out of school, still out of school, and not being able to access education because they live in the rural areas, and those who live in the urban area or suburban areas are so poor, they're so poverty-stricken that the parents will really have to choose between feeding the children and providing education materials and resources. So with no electricity or maybe electricity supply that is so epileptic, I really wish that we can do some kind of abracadabra to have provide them access to digital technology for learning as the world is heading there now. I would think that if it is possible at all if there's a constant power supply or electricity supply that can be installed in schools, the school can also have a centralized internet. When students come in, they can use it, even if they don't have it at home. But if the school is well connected, students can come to school and actually access internet while they're on school compound.
Thank you. Devendra, please, 30 seconds.
So education is one of the keys that can bring a country out of poverty. Therefore, massive investment in education will be needed, should be done by government, and even developed countries who are concerned about these developing countries should make these funds available so that we can see these changes happening. And like I said in my previous answer, ICT hubs, investment in making internet available in rural areas, and so on, are keys in which we can make this happen.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. For the sake of time, we cannot take any more questions here, but you could always email your questions to us. And we would definitely have one of the speakers to respond back to your questions. With that being said, let me welcome the president for the global president for 1000 Human Religion for Global Peace. She's also the president for Tabernacle Worship and Prayer Ministries, Dr. Sidiat Lawal. She will give us a closing remarks in 2 minutes. We have exactly 3 minutes to end. So please take 2 minutes. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you are. I'm really very grateful to our panelists. Thank you so much. First of all, to the organizer, Dr. Ada Okeka, and my high eminence, Dr. Denver Bannister, thank you so much. Professor Siddiq, thank you. Dr. Brian Yambi, thank you so much. Dr. Devendra, we appreciate all your contribution, and my own Dr. Stephanie Ingene, all the way from California, thank you so much. Dr. Nena, we thank you. Dr. Siddiq from Dubai, we appreciate all your contribution. This is really very important. And to all attendees, we are very grateful for your time and your attention for contributing to this very important topic. Yeah, I just need to summarize because there's a lot that I've learned today. Dr. Ngambi, Dr. Brian discussed about access, about collaboration and communication, how digital technology has given us the leeway to go ahead and collaborate, that a student can be in Africa and learn from a student in America. It is now very global, but we must consider the 6 competencies as highlighted in that SDG goal number 4, competency of communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creative ideas. Creativity and innovation is part of technology. And this has given us access all across the world to access technology wherever we are at the comfort of our home, which means we have no excuse. And as the SDG number 4 has really implored every one of us, leave no one behind. This is the era that we have to promote interactive learning in our community. And we are all here to take action, to take this further. And also, this has given us more time to really dedicate this precious time to our children and to our community. And I also learned from Dr. Stephanie, I will go one by one what I learned, that digital education has given us special interactive learning for our students. And the number of teachers and the number of students that are learning are actually increasing, and it makes it possible. To my understanding, we have a lot to capture in the area of technology, especially to make it affordable for all students globally, especially in the area of Africa or third world country. How can we be inclusive? We need to include our government to take action in making sure that education, digital technology is included in their curriculum. Classroom is no longer like learner-centered now. It's now learner to take action further with technology, personalized learning through computerized issues, and this is really good for us to know. Now, I'm going again to what Dr. Siddiq actually presented in the area of, the connectivity and data. So this is why it is very important for us to employ all, governmental areas, governmental agencies, and all of us that are educators to take part in it. How can we make data, internet, computer, iPad, tablet be affordable and be available for students to use in wherever they are? And Dr. Lina actually explained about the social empowerment that digital technology has brought to our community worldwide. And we need to continue with this social inclusiveness, equity, and making sure that all our students and teachers are learning. And Dr. Stephanie also mentioned about lifelong learning activities that digital technology has even given to all of us. This is very, very important. We don't have any excuse no more. We just need to work together. This is a call for action. Wherever we are globally, we need to work together to make digital technology be affordable, be available, and be inclusive for all our students and teachers inclusive. Thank you very much. It's action time. Let us all work together to make this happen. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Lawal. Let me say once again, thank you very much to all of our attendees, all of our panelists. Let me say thank you very much to our technical team. Mr. Tony, thank you very much for manning the system for us here. It's digital we're talking about, it's technology we're talking about, and here we have a young man that's helping us. So at this time, let me say thank you once again to everyone, all of our attendees and all of our participants. And thank you very much to Dr. Ada. Thank you very much to the various organizations, Woolmai ICC, Irene Menekaya School, ECG, European Digital University, Tabernacle Prayer and Praise, Center for SDG, Magban Arts, and Magban Corp. Thank you very much for allowing us the opportunity that we can be able to come together here to speak to everyone, to educate everyone, and to brainstorm and find means and ways that we can help to advance the education system in the technological world. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being with us today. I am your host, Dr. Devon Bannister. Do have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you, everyone, and let's strike a balance to bring back digital technology into all levels of education system. Let's begin to bring up ideas, and this is very, very extremely important. This is time for the decade of action, and we must take a move to balance the education system using technology. Thank you, and thank everyone. Dr. Vanessa, I appreciate you. Thank you for the wonderful moderation, and it's been a wonderful day to all participants, attendees who are watching and listening. And also we thank the Bureau of Commission on Social Development, the 59th section at United Nations, for giving us the opportunity to share our opinion regarding in contributing to the theme of the section. Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Tony, you didn't say anything. You come out and say something.
No, Dr. Ada, let's close off. We have to close. Tony, please end the meeting.